Hey, Nerdables! And other people. Those who tuned in are like, this chick's crazy, why are we even watching this video? No, I'm somewhat sane. You've tuned into what is called Jaina Solo Says, where we talk about nerdy, fun topics of the week. And this week we're talking about Green Arrow versus Green Lantern. There's a lot of green superheroes out there. I mean, technically there's also Green Hornet, but we're not getting in him today. We're just talking about two. Green Hornet is some other time. So Green Lantern and, I'm gonna get these mixed up because I'm talking about very similar names, and Green Arrow. Who's cooler and why? I think that's a very fun topic because these characters are actually quite different, and I find it funny because even at one point in the comics, somebody wrote them together, like they become friends and they fight evil for environmental issues, which I don't know if that's a nod to the green attire, or if that's a nod to the times where they're like, let's just use these guys as our environmental spokespeople. But really quick rundown, there's a lot about them, because that's another thing I'm really mad about. There's so many versions of certain superheroes. Like, Green Lantern and Green Arrow have like 6 different selves. Like the first people who wrote them versus the most recent people who wrote them, there's all sorts of different stuff. Like, Green Lantern, in the first series, he's vulnerable to the color yellow. I'm sorry, no, that's wrong. The later versions, he's vulnerable to the color yellow. The first versions, he's vulnerable to wood, which is a funny thing because the first versions of Green Lantern, he was a railroad engineer, and the lantern is like a railroad engineer lantern that has magical properties that infuses him, and he makes a ring that then together the lantern and ring give him his power, but that's why it's vulnerable to wood, because in those days wood and the railroad, you know, anyway, but later it's like the Guardians of Oa, who are like this alien race that give the rings to those who are worthy to be, you know, justice keepers throughout the land, and then those people are vulnerable to the color yellow, because that kind of stands for jealousy and fear, and the things that weaken us are our fears. So Big Bang Theory is kind of funny, because the guys are all talking in an episode, and they're like, one of the characters comments he thinks it's lame that he's vulnerable to the color yellow. And the other guy's like, well, the old one was vulnerable to wood. And he's like, great, so I could take them both out with a number 2 pencil? It's kind of funny. Anyway, but that's Green Lantern. He's more of a by-the-books, justice-driven guy, whereas the Oliver Queen character who plays Green Arrow... Oh, sorry, Green Lantern's ego is Hal Jordan. He's either, like I said, a railroad engineer, or later an airline pilot, I believe. But Green Arrow, on the other hand, is Oliver Queen, who's like a billionaire's son. They started writing him in the very beginning, kind of like a Batman character, you know, but his arrows were really cool, because he's kind of a do-it-yourselfer. Like, his arrows have, like, these cool powers that he infuses them with, in the sense of, like, he puts, tranks on them, and lasers, and, like, technology. He uses technology for, like, smoke bombs and stuff, and he'll attach them to the arrows, and then he'll shoot them and use them in his crime-fighting escapades. Which I think's a little better, in a sense of, like, he earned his awesomeness, versus, like, the Hal Jordan Green Lantern, who just has to put a ring on and he can teleport and fly and have hypnotic powers over items and do a barrier with his ring as long as it doesn't run out. Like, I'm like, that's, in a way, that's, like, almost too easy. Like, I can have a gazillion powers with just this ring! And then, you know, Green Arrow's more of a vigilante, in the sense that he does justice for justice sake, whereas the Green Lantern character tries to work within the system. So it's kind of fun, because actually when they wrote those two characters together, that was what they would constantly argue about, like, you know, and so they kind of rubbed off on each other, kind of making Oliver Queen a little bit of a better moral character in the system. Not that he was horrible, just, you know, more of a Dark Knight, sorry about the kind of pun there, you know, versus, and then Hal Jordan's character kind of got a little bit more like, hey, if it's for the good of the people, sometimes you can't always work 100% in the system. So it's just kind of a fun dichotomy there. But yeah, so tell me what you guys think, and let me know which one you prefer. Like, I'm a little bit more of a Green Arrow fan, because like I said, he's more of a self-made character in the sense of what he does as a superhero, versus Hal Jordan, who is maybe a little more boring, because things come a little bit easier to him, but that's just an opinion. So, thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you next week on Jaina Solo Says. This has been segment 8. Bye.